action with World's Countdown. Cooldown.
It's World's Countdown. Day 4, here we are. No, World's Cooldown. After a tough loss for Cloud9 there up against Gen.G. I think Azael said it's eerily reminiscent of the way that Gen.G lost to RNG yesterday, where the game was close. A single explosive play turns it. Gen.G then rotates to the Baron, and with that has no trouble closing out the game.
I mean, yeah, you give these teams an inch and they will take a mile. It's nice to see Gen.G return a little bit to form. I don't think anyone really expected them to struggle as much in the early game as they would have, so huge start for Blabber. I think his first 10 minutes of gameplay was rather good. It then just kind of went a little bit sideways on this play in particular.
Really poor engage by Blabber right there. It ends up costing the team Baron. I will say they had lost a lot of map tempo before that, so they were trying to go for a fairly big play. And then here, just a snap engage by Core JJ to get out the AD carry, and at this stage of the game, the Galio damage reduction compared to all the damage Gen.G had with Baron wasn't enough, and they make the correct call to go for the end.
And this is what we expect of LCK defending world champions and Gen.G.
It's interesting, right? Because I feel like almost any other region starts 0-2 and then has this sub 25-minute win. You're like, wow, they really bounced back.
Right.
But Gen.G was a team that had actually won basically 2 early mid games and then were unable to close. So it's less surprising that the 0-2 team won because they're defending world champions.
Right. I mean, we were still calling them favorites going into this matchup to begin with. I do want to talk a little bit more about Blabber because of that play in particular, kind of costing them the game. Reaper himself said that this guy's hard to control. He's got highs and lows, and for his first time out on the world stage, how do we feel about his performance, you know, including, but as well, I want to talk about things leading up to that misplay.
I mean, personally for me, I think that's just an experience thing. You know, you put these types of players in so many different situations, they kind of learn that instinct of what they need to do. You hear a lot of veteran players talk about that, and I think it's better to train that the reins, you know, the pullback, the patience, than it is to train the bloodlust. If I'm in the LPL and I'm seeing a new player hits the stage and they just immediately want to go toe-to-toe with everyone, it doesn't matter who they're across from, I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy came to play. I respect that. So as far as my first introduction to Blabber on a big stage, I really like what I saw.
Yeah, I've been critical of Reaper's substitutions before. I agree with this substitution and the fact that it gave them potentially an edge. And he knew that he was popping popcorn before the game. An unlucky pop was when he hit level 6, and then
that was heartbreaking.
And then
in the
Crown
air.
hit level 6 off of a minion while the Jarvanol was in the air that would have killed the level 5 Aatrox. Gets level 6, gets the health, ults, turns it around. Like, that was when the game was still in its infantile state. It could have changed a lot as it developed.
Yeah.
But that was a bad play, and then he wasn't able to.
Yeah, the first blood into that attempted kill at level 6 were very classic Blabber Jensen, you know, wrestling control of the mid lane, and then from there you would expect them to take it to the other lanes. But of course, because that single one is kind of turned, everything goes back to a moot state, and I think that's where we saw him overreaching for certain things.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that play would have meant that Cloud9 won the game. There's so many more steps that would have had to be taken, and I think Gen.G did do a good job to not tilt after starting 0-2.
It was a very necessary win for Gen.G here to move to 1-2. Again, very difficult for a team to get out of groups starting 0-3. It has been done, can be done again, but sitting at 1-2 now, they've at least started their climb towards getting out of groups. Another team, or another matchup that we had teased quite significantly coming into the day was Fnatic versus IG, in particular looking at the mid laners, but as a whole, just a very exciting matchup. Let's talk about this one real quick.
And I think while there was a ton of exciting elements of this game, you know, a lot of back and forth kills, very action-packed, early game aggression, there was also some disappointments. And for me, it was particularly in Caps, especially for all the hype that we were driving towards this guy. The fact that they go for the blind Swain, yes, it's red side rookie, he's gonna get the counter pick. Syndra is one of his signature champions, so maybe Fnatic expected to come out. They thought, let's get a tanky pick that's just not going to fall over in the lane phase. I just felt it put the muzzle on this guy, and I wanted to see Caps and Rookie really go toe-to-toe and just unleash, and I didn't get that.
All right, he didn't necessarily fall over, but he fell down 40 CS in that lane phase, as you mentioned. Jat, Frost just called out the fact that IG was on the red side this time around and gets that counter pick. Do you think the next time these two teams meet, Caps might have a little more opportunity to showcase his prowess being on the red side himself?
I would be shocked if Fnatic doesn't save or Cap's counter pick, knowing that those two guys have the largest champion pools. I do also think that Rookie's probably going to have a better blind choice at that point, depending on how they want to protect him in the second phase of bans. It's going to be fascinating to watch.
I mean, that's the thing. Rookie had 20 unique champion picks. Talked about it with Vedius. Caps had 26, the most of anyone. Like, this guy has an insane champion pool. And again, you can maybe work through the logic of why you saw the Swain, but no one wants that next time. I actually feel cheated that I didn't get like an assassin versus assassin
At least you
matchup.
didn't get Sion, because that could have happened.
That's
You're
very
true. It could have been worse.
We could have just had a tank in the mid lane.
Yeah.
So we got a tanky mage. I do want to take a look at one other fun interaction that took place in this game. I'm handing it right back to you, Jat. Replay of the Baron that Soaz was able to stall.
Watch this. He gets the full damage off the ult and the W, and then the stun duration would have been long enough for him to hit a charged Q, but then the Baron knocks up all three, canceling the Q and canceling damage. I actually think he may have gotten a double kill
right?
on both Jackie Love and Rookie if that didn't happen, which would have made this play even more Soaz versus the world.
If he kills those two people with the remaining members of Fnatic showing up, is there a possibility that they clean up and take that Baron?
I'd have to think about it. They would have gone for it if I track it off
Right,
Baron
just like they
judgment
went for it.
by the rest of the game. That was probably a better opportunity.
All I'm saying, Baron's like MVP of IG. I mean, they're against RNG, Baron's leveling up, Karsa can't get the smite, next thing he's knocking Sion up into the air. Like, Baron is the sixth man of Invictus Gaming.
Baron MVP. No, Invictus Gaming played that game very well, and while that may have given a slight edge to Fnatic or helped them out, had the damage come through, IG played a good game and came away with a victory. Let's review our standout performers, though. Gen.G's Haro is our final MasterCard player of the game, and he joins the likes of KT's Mata, EDG Scout, and IG's Jackie Love, 100 Thieves, Aframu, and RNG's Karsa.
Super close to having all 5 roles on it today. Last day we only had laners, mid lane, top lane, AD carry. Today we get Karsa to sneak in there as well as a little bit of support love.
Man, how did we miss
No
any of
top
our
laners.
top laners? I was just going to
top
say,
laners.
we have incredible top laners in this tournament.
Yeah, well, you know what happened today? I feel like a lot of times the skill matchups were kind of banned out. I think teams have gotten a little bit better at neutralizing the Urgot. The closest one was definitely some days Urgot. It was incredibly close to being player
that's
of
a
the
good
game.
point, yeah.
He missed a lot of ultimates in the mid game, even though he had that amazing one in the end, and Aframu obviously had those amazing hooks, but super close to actually having one of every role.
Yeah, very much so. Now, to hear more about that victory that we just saw, let's send it over to Avli for an interview with the Gen.G bot laner.
Thanks, guys. I am here with Ruler, who just picked up his first win in groups with Gen.G. Now, as the returning champions, we were expecting a little bit of more dominance coming from the team. So why did it take until now to pick up that first win?
네, 첫 승 정말 축하드려요. 근데 사실 디펜딩 챔피언으로 돌아온 젠지한테는 좀 더 화끈하고 좀 압도적인 경기를 기대했는데 왜 첫 승까지 이렇게 오래 걸렸을까요?
일단 저희 팀원 형들은 어떨지 모르는데 제가 좀 긴장을 좀 많이 하고 좀 많이 플레이하면서 얼었던 것 같아요. 그래서 좀 더 많이 어렵게 가는 것 같아요, 게임들이.
So I'm not sure about the other players, but myself, I think I got too nervous and also I was shaky on stage, so I think that affected my plays.
Oh no, is there added pressure or maybe stress coming into Worlds as the defending champion?
그러면 디펜딩 챔피언으로 참가한다는 그런 의미가 더 많이 압박을 좀 가져온 것 같나요?
사실 그런 거에 대해서는 잘 압박을 받는 편은 아닌데 그냥 저도 모르게 긴장이 너무 많이 되더라고요.
Well, that usually doesn't really happen to me, but this time I got really too nervous. I don't know why.
What do you think you can do, or what can your teammates really do to kind of help you address those issues?
그러면 좀 긴장을 풀기 위해서 선수라든지 팀원들이 어떻게 좀 해결할 수 있을까요?
일단 긴장은 좀 저는 자연적으로 좀 해결되는 스타일이라서 그냥 시간이 약이다라고 생각하고 좀 기다렸던 것 같아요.
So I just waited till I feel like adjusted to the stage.
Well, you did play great today, but actually all of Korea has had a little bit of a slow start here at Worlds. Why do you think that is?
항상 근데 한국 팀들은 롤드컵에서 좀 슬로우 스타터적인 기질이 있잖아요. 그런 이유가 뭘까요?
솔직히 잘 모르겠는데 그냥 긴장을 좀 많이 해서 그런 것 같아요, 다들.
I don't really know why. I think they're all feeling so nervous before going into games.
Is there any advice that you would give your fellow Korean teams?
그러면 조언 한마디 긴장하지 말라고.
다들 잘하시니까 다들 긴장하지 마시고 다들 잘하실 거라고 믿습니다.
So I know you guys are such a great player, so don't get nervous on stage.
Well, Ruler, same advice goes to you. Thank you so much. And that's it for us here. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Avali. He himself felt nervous, felt the pressure. His advice to his fellow LCK players is not to get nervous. There's a lot of talk there about pressure, expectation, and living up to it for a former world champion.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, not only when you win Worlds last year, but when your region has won 5 World Championships in a row.
And you're playing in that region.
Always beats each other in the finals. It's the expectation. Although, I'll take that pressure, honestly, of like, oh man, we win so much. We
Right.
to win again. Not to discount from the fact that it does exist, but Korea, I think, bounced back today for Gen.G.
Yes, very much so. Picked up a couple wins today for Korea. If we pull up the standings, we see that Group B has RNG at 3-0 with a 3-way tie for second between Cloud9, Gen.G, and Vitality. Over in Group C, EDG and KT Rolster are tied at the top with Team Liquid and Mad Team both winless. Followed by Invictus Gaming leading Group D with 100 Thieves and Fnatic tied at 1-1. And Group A returns tomorrow.
I don't think I've ever gotten to look at the standings and see all of the LPL teams sitting on top. Now, I know KT Rolster and EDG are tied, so just happened to work out that way on the graphic, but that feels pretty good.
7-0 for the LPL. That's basically, I feel like Korea is the only region that has ever started that well. If they have, I'd have to check the stats.
If even that, yeah. We took a look at the regional standings yesterday. Let's take a look at the updated regional standings with today's games in the books. LPL 7-0, as you mentioned. RNG, of course, 3-0, leading the charge for that region. First off, is RNG an untouchable team?
I mean, I've said it pretty much all year long at MSI. I got behind them coming into Worlds. I said that I don't think, and I'll say it again, I don't think in a Game 5 World Final you beat RNG. I think that they are unbeatable when it comes to the super late game because of who their coaches are. Now, if they trip up before then, if maybe they fall down in the back half of the group stage, maybe take second, get knocked out into corners, then it turns different. But when it's a clutch moment, when they're under the spotlight, when it matters, I think RNG will turn it on and they're going to be the world champions.
RNG leading the pack at 3-0. The two other LPL teams, though, both undefeated as well. Jat, 7-0 for a region. Do the LPL teams just know how to play League of Legends better than anyone else? Did they figure it out?
It's super interesting to try and unpack why the dominance is happening the way it is. And I think there have definitely been some changes to the game that are beneficial to the LPL. If we think very macro style, the removal of Sightstone is one. The limiting of vision on the map and some of the nerfs to the trinket wards and things like zombie wards. So the darker the map is, the more you need to check with your character and the more fighting you're going to have. And I think the second contributor right now is, I think in previous World Championships, there were more safe blind picks. So a lot of times you would pick Orianna or Azir if it was up, and you're generally fine. Like, you're not going to lose that matchup very badly. But even the AD carry meta right now, like Kaiser versus Saya, immediate skill matchup, right? If Urgot is up and you're not sending two bans to the top lane, and Aatrox or an Urgot, that's another immediate skill test where if one player is better than the other player, you can take over the game through that. And I think mid lane can be a similar way, talking about Syndra and Aurelia. I think there's more of those things. So Korea's previous style of isolating the game to its core components and playing the map, that'll fall apart if you lose a lane, right? And all of those lanes are skill tests every game.
I also think it's the importance around the monster objectives. The fact that there's more power in the jungle with the Scuttle Crab changes, there's more power in things like Double Elder, more power in the Barons in terms of its ability to close out game. And actually, you are going to team fight around those objectives. Jat already talked about the vision. The map is getting darker. It's now stacking these engage tools. So the way that the LPL teams have pretty much been trained to play the game is also, I think, one of the easiest ways. I think it's much harder to win in terms of like a big macro playing different cross map communications timings things than it's just to say, okay, we're better players, we play the 51%. If it's a 50-50, I know I'm the better player, so I have the advantage. Let's take the coin flip, because for me, I know I've already got it. And that's a lot of the mentality for the LPL players. They just go forward.
It's interesting. So, yeah, my recollection of Korea in their most dominant state is that they outmaneuver their opponents, kind of as you mentioned.
And also usually have the best players in position too, right? So that's somewhere where they've always matched people.
Right.
And then they outplay them in the other ones. But I think recently, a lot of the LPL teams have taken it a little bit higher.
That's the other thing. I didn't want to touch it because I feel like it's quite a very strong statement. But, you know, think of a player like Ming, who kind of really made his breakout. Or let's go with someone like Mako. Now, Mako's having a bad year. But in the past, I think that Mako has been in a conversation of best support in the world, but he's denied that conversation because he doesn't play in the LCK. And so many people don't get to see him compete with kind of the rest of the best of the world. And you give it to LCK because they have been dominant for so long.
Right.
But there's so many players in the LPL. The region keeps getting larger and larger. It's going to expand to 20 teams by 2020. That means you have so much more talent pool to pick from. And the superior players are rising to the top. We not had just one super team like KT Rolster. We had 2 super teams in the LPL, and RNG and Invictus Gaming, and both of them showed up huge today on the world stage.
That only further elevates, though, the importance of tournaments like this, international tournaments where we get to see those regions finally go up against each other to help us with our barometer for which regions are the strongest, which players are the strongest at any given moment in competitive League of Legends.
Yeah, it's been an exciting Worlds to watch so far, and we've also seen this so many times. Even in like an MSI group stage, you'll see an LCK team struggle early. You'll start speculating on why it could be, and we're coming up with our hypothesis.
Right.
Right? This is my hypothesis on why China could be doing better. Or Korea was really nervous on the first 2 days, man.
Yeah.
And they're just going to turn.
They're going to hard smash the rest of the way through the tournament.
That's also a possibility. So we just got to watch and find out.
Tune in day 8. We might be eating our words. We return tomorrow with the Freak of Freaks versus Fongbu Buffalo in Game 1. Then G2 hope to knock Flash Wolves off their spot in first. Later on, G-Rex challenges Fnatic in Game 4 with KT Rolster versus EDG to close out the day. Any big ticket matchups that you guys are taking a look at for tomorrow?
Maybe the one where there's 2 undefeated teams. I'm not sure. It's pretty decent at the end of the day. EDG versus KT.
Nah.
The undefeated LPL versus the undefeated LCK team.
Yeah, that is a pretty sweet one.
TL versus Mad is also quite interesting. And the fact that Mad Gaming, I think, have been very surprising. TL, you know, they had some highs, they had some lows. I'm curious where the bounce back is going to be and if they're actually going to show the dominance that they showcased domestically on an international stage.
Interesting for different reasons.
Right,
I
I was gonna
completely
say.
agree.
Terrifying for
no.
Because the 0-3 team is, I feel like, done for in that situation. Like, we have this thought in the back of our mind that, oh, you can go 0-3 and still make it out, which is technically correct because Fnatic did it last year after 0-4.
But it's only been done
But
one
realistically, I don't think that's a possibility, right? Because we've had it happen so many times. So the way Team Liquid played today, I think they would lose to Mad Team because not only were they kind of forcing teams to fight them, they were then missing all their ultimates in team fights. I don't think that's Team Liquid's standard level, so I hope they can get back to their standard level, then I think they'd win.
I'm going back to the KT EDG game.
Okay.
Does the LPL suffer their first loss tomorrow?
I mean, you would say absolutely. KT looked like a completely different animal in the S-Class alongside RNG, whereas Edward Gaming have really just scraped over the finish line on the back of some miracle performance plays by individual players. You know, it was iBoy in game number 1, it was Scout in game number 2. It hasn't been that collective, you know, on all cylinders. That said, it is against Deft, and Clearlove has made some statements that he can't wait to just camp Deft's lane, so...
Yeah, if it happens, though, the murmurs of the LPL is definitely better, are going to get a lot louder.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Right, just because KT is that remaining, you know, strong team for the LCK. All right, well, that's going to do it for us here today on day 3 of the group stages. So now for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more Worlds 2018.
Welcome to Mad Team versus KT Rolster. It's an uphill battle from the start if you're Mad Team. You're playing against KT, the #1 seed.
Despite the performance of LCK's other 2 seeds, KT Rolster are still looking like clear favorites in this group.
Duka looking for a flank. Pops the ulti, needs more Madai stacks. He's only got 14. Give the man some stacks. It's just too little, too late for the squad. As KT gonna take down the last kill, grab the ace, and polish off the game.
TL versus EDG fighting for that second spot right now.
Echo though with a follow-up pulse. Might turn it back around for EDG. They're going in for a snap with a massive shuffle. Follows into the Ornhorn. Ole gonna go down as well, and EDG somehow saved that fight. Let's the ulti rip. Everyone dives out of the opponent. Break up the 2-man up, and Scout makes it look so sick. That's the ace for EDG. EDG will collect themselves yet another win.
Ming is optimizing his path.
Oh my god, Jackie Love!
I'm going on them. I'm going on clean.
Are trying to finish it up, but Ning, he gets the Baron. Jackie Love, oh my god, rookie. How dare you?
PK finally gets out remove. Candy fighting
goes
for
in.
life, but Stitch with a killer instinct.
Ready. Holy shit.
Nice. 100 Thieves pick up their first win at Worlds and another win for North America. 30 seconds left on Baron. Blabber forced to flash for his life. The Nexus turret falls down. Gen.G stop focusing down the Nexus. They'll need a little bit more time. Here comes Cloud9. They need to interrupt. They need to stop the hit.
He's up.
Buster Shot buys a little more, but Sneaky's left alone. 5 versus 1. Gen.G pick up their first win at Worlds. All eyes on Vitality because they are the ones that have to show us that they can challenge Royal Never Give Up. Joe's running for his life, chunked down low.
He got Uzi!
Catches onto Uzi! Josuke takes him down! Lemmy may win the 1v2. Lamb's spike comes down, he smashes out the pit! Uzi gets caught, but Uzi does not get killed. He hops and skips and jumps and kills Vitality right where they stand.